We are back with you now on Wave Listens Live, our third segment today. Something that is so important, maybe something that you yourself have seen going on in our community, seems to be more prevalent these days. Louisville Parks and Recreation and LMPD teaming up, joining us today as well to raise awareness about the usage of ATVs and dirt bikes in public spaces. So here to help us talk through all of this, I've got Bridget Fraley, who's the Executive Administrator for Louisville Parks and Recreation, and I've got Lieutenant Caleb Stewart with LMPD. So welcome both of you here to Listens.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's start with you, Bridget, because I want to talk about somebody who works with Parks and Rec. When these are on public lands and areas they're not supposed to be, causes a lot of damage.
Yes, it causes a lot of damage to our parks itself. It also causes a lot of emotional stress to people that want to come to the park to enjoy their park visit, enjoy some tranquility. And it also does damage to our actual wildlife. So, for example, at Cherokee Park, you know, pretty much every time I go to Cherokee, I see deer. And if ATVs are riding through there, that disrupts them as well.
So you guys put in a ton of effort all the time to keep Louisville's parks what they are, which is one of the premier systems in the country. And to have something like this, I'm guessing it creates a whole side of work then for the parks team to have to deal with.
Absolutely, yes. It just creates a lot of damage and a lot of financial burden to us to fix those areas where the parklands and the grass, the vegetation has been damaged. So it is just one of those ongoing issues that we're trying to bring attention to, that it's against the Louisville Metro City Ordinance, and I think most people are not aware of that. So we're just trying to bring some awareness to that.
Is there an area you're seeing this more than others?
The majority of the area that we see is along the Louisville Loop. So some of the parks that are along the loop would include Lannon Park, Chickasaw Park, Shawnee Park, but we also see them in areas, I'm sorry, not Cherokee, Shawnee, Chickasaw, but I've also seen them in Cherokee and Iroquois Park. So it's becoming more prevalent, and that's why we're here today.
Lieutenant, I want to come to you now because there are penalties, there are repercussions if you get caught doing this. So on the law enforcement side of this, can you talk about why this is a bad idea, especially if you get caught?
Yeah, Brian, compliance is always the goal. You know, we would prefer that people would follow the law, follow the local ordinances, so enforcement action isn't something that's necessary. But in this specific case, if you are caught riding an ATV in the park, you could face a fine up to $500. In a lot of instances, the ATV could also be impounded.
Wow, okay, so let's talk about on the other side of things. When we're all out at the parks, you touched on this, that you've seen it yourself, and we're trying to be there in a serene environment, and there's deer and things like that, and you want to report this. Maybe you've seen a pack of people riding through in areas that you know they're not supposed to be. What do we do as community members to help you guys out?
So if ATVs are seen and there's no perceived immediate threat or danger, that's one thing that can be reported through our Metro 311 system. But if it's a situation where it does seem to be an immediate threat to someone, then you can always call our dispatch.
Okay, perfect. It's good to have that information. Part of the two of your organizations teaming up to get this word out involved putting together a public service announcement, and so we have that here for our viewers, and we'd like to run it now.
The usage of ATVs and motorized dirt bikes in our parks is strictly prohibited by Kentucky state law and Metro County ordinance. Violations of Metro ordinance can result in a $500 fine, and the vehicle could be impounded. The usage of these vehicles can be disruptive to the peace and safety of those in our community, which is why only well-trained law enforcement, public safety, and parks personnel are permitted to ride these types of vehicles in our park systems during their official duties. ATVs and dirt bikes can also do damage to the grasslands and vegetation in our public parks. It can greatly impact the environmental balance within a park, including its wildlife. Let's all do our part to ensure our parks are safe and enjoyable for everyone. Obeying this ordinance is not a choice. It is a responsibility of everyone. Thank you for your cooperation.
Okay, pretty clear there, easy to follow what the message is. Bridget, another part of the messaging, you've put together some signs. We're going to start to see these right nowadays?
Yes, you will see those in parks where we've seen high utilization of ATVs and dirt bikes. Just to remind folks that these are not allowed in the parks, and so that we can just bring awareness to this situation.
Obviously, these are, as we show a close-up here, they can be dangerous vehicles anyways. They can be a lot of fun, of course, if you use them correctly. But Lieutenant Stewart, any recommendations you have for people that want to engage in these activities with dirt bikes and ATVs in these nice summer months, but do so safely for themselves and for the public?
Yes, first of all, I would encourage people to have a little bit of forethought before one is purchased. You know, if you're not in a position where you have private property where you can ride it, or permission from someone else that has private property where you can engage in utilizing it, that you may want to, you know, consider not purchasing one, because, you know, as this whole campaign is, they're not allowed in our public parks. With very few exceptions, they're not allowed on public roadways as well.
That was going to be my next question, because I know a lot of people have been seeing that on sidewalks and on public roadways, and most of the time I'm guessing these aren't vehicles that are retrofitted for that.
Absolutely. They're not designed to be on the roadway, and by state law they're not allowed to be, like I said, with very few exceptions. And so we encourage people to give some forethought before they purchase one. Also, you can go to atvsafety.org, which is a website that's put together by the ATV Safety Institute, which is kind of the gold standard for ATV safety and training. And you can actually sign up for training on that website, and it's also got a lot of good tips there for proper usage.
I know that a lot of this starts with just arming people with the information, which is exactly what we're trying to do today. But for LMPD to have partnerships like you do with the Parks Department and to be able to speak directly to the community about these things, how important is that for you guys to keep all of us safe?
I think it's very important because, like we said before, compliance is always the goal. We would rather people be informed about what the laws and ordinances are and follow those, rather than us having to come in on the back end with some kind of enforcement action.
Well, I appreciate both of you coming on here today and letting us know about all of this. I'll ask you, just if people want more information about all the things we talked about here today, the best place to go and do that?
Our website, www.bestparksever.com.
Easy enough, and you say it there in the website itself, bestparksever.com. Of course, we want to keep it that way. Part of the way that we do that is to follow these rules and these ordinances, which, again, you will start to see these signs popping up. Maybe you'll see that PSA, and we hope that you all are safe if you're riding ATVs, and dirt bikes can be a lot of fun if you do it correctly. Thanks to both of you for being here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks to all of you for joining us here today. I'll see you back here same time tomorrow.